What is up, fellow bench warmers? Happy Easter to everyone, and this is your daily Fantasy Quickie. What's up, guys? Happy Easter, everyone. Hope you are doing well today in this Sunday afternoon. How are you, Commish?
Doing fine, doing okay. Week 14.
Yep.
So last 2 days, last day tomorrow.
Tail end of week 14. For some teams, next week would be their last week before the playoffs. So lots of teams probably scrambling for that last playoff spot.
And for some teams, next week is the playoffs. The start, week 15.
For some teams, 15. The playoff starts next week. So hopefully you've got it in and you're having a good week this week. So let's talk about some storylines for today and this Easter Sunday. Bad news for Gordon Hayward owners.
Bad news right away, yeah? Easter Sunday.
Bad news, and then just like Easter will rise from the bad news. There's no way to go but up, I guess. Gordon Hayward out for 4 weeks. Well, pretty much season's over.
Somebody asked if there's hope for him to come back. I said yes, maybe week 19, late week 19 to week 20. But remember, 4 weeks is re-evaluation time only. That's not a return time. So it's very, very risky to think that he will come back in 4 weeks. So if it were me and I didn't have an IL spot, I would drop Red at this point.
Yeah, and it's not really worth holding as, for fantasy purposes. I don't think it's worth holding on to 4 weeks worth, or I think I would bet this would be like a 5 to 6 week thing for Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, 5 to 6 weeks would lead us to the end of the regular season.
I would be surprised if he'll be back on the 4th week or after the 4 weeks. He is a very fragile player, like we said yesterday. And with the Hornets trying to make that late push for the playoffs, let's see if that becomes a factor in Hayward's return after 4 weeks. But
best case scenario, 4 weeks. That is week 19. That was week 19, maybe the middle. So that's the semifinal. That's the second
the middle of the
week.
Semifinals. Probably
even if he comes back,
if
he comes back and somebody gets him, then so what? But you got you were
able to reach the semifinals, right?
And you got a player to replace him anyway for that spot that he would have.
It's actually surprising. I browsed through some of the teams in my leagues, and probably around 50% of the leagues I am in still holds players like LaMelo. And I wouldn't be surprised if teams would also hold on to Gordon Hayward. Just surprising. Luckily for me, in some of those leagues, I'm battling them for the 8th spot. So hopefully they keep on holding on to those LaMelo and Hayward. So
it's like this. Right now, if you're asking, should we drop this player for this player? Should we drop this player already? Just remember that if you drop that player and you stream that position, you just add every day the stats of the streamers you use.
Yep.
More or less, I can guarantee you, even if you miss on some streamers, you hit on some streamers. If you average them out, it will be better than just holding an injured player right now at this point of the season.
Yeah.
At this point of the season. So you should drop.
Gordon Hayward, I think, is a drop.
Yes.
We don't. If you have an IL spot, maybe you can hold on. But the future does not look bright for this guy, for Hayward owners. So I'd rather drop and pick up some players. Who would be the biggest beneficiary here? Rozier, Devontae.
Well, those guys,
Bridges.
I don't think Rozier and Devontae, I don't think can go any higher. I mean, this is their ceiling already. I don't think Rozier will suddenly become James Harden because they don't have LaMelo or Gordon Hayward. He will benefit a little bit only. Miles Bridges, yes, I think. But if you look at traditionally Miles Bridges with and without Gordon Hayward, he actually averages less points without Gordon Hayward.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been playing very well lately, and LaMelo is also out aside from Gordon Hayward. So I think Miles Bridges by default should benefit the most here. And another player is PJ Washington. Historically, PJ Washington is the guy who has doubled his scoring without Gordon Hayward.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging 2 times more points, so 10 to 20 points without Gordon Hayward. And lastly, Brad Wanamaker.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Brad Wanamaker, and I've been hyping him as an assist guy and everything, and he has gotten 30 minutes the past few games. So I think that will continue without Gordon Hayward. The assists will continue to be there. He can score. So that's the guy you should add in deeper leagues, or maybe he's available.
So Brad Wanamaker is probably a deep leaguer type of ad, or maybe a streamer type of thing, because in a 14 team, it's really hard to get quality streamers already, or I mean quality players that you can hold on to for a long time. So Brad Wanamaker is something to consider.
But he can be a rest of the season guy. You
add him,
we'll see,
and play it, as the season goes, and see how good he has been. If he plays well in the first game without Hayward, then you might want to hold on to him for a bit. Other than that, are the Martin twins good ads as well for streamers, deep leagues?
For streamers, Cody Martin is the guy. Again, it's Cody, not Caleb. Cody gets 20 minutes without Gordon, 19.7 minutes without Gordon Hayward. That's not a lot. But of course, we haven't considered LaMelo is also out. So maybe he'll get 20 to 22 minutes. Not really a very high upside fantasy guy, but if you want to stream, maybe just if he has a lot of games, you can add him for the short term. But don't expect a lot. He might have some good games here or there, but consistently, I don't think.
All right, so Gordon Hayward out 4 weeks. Let's move on to some good news. Joel Embiid returned, and Davis Bertans returned. Both played well. Embiid played a good game against one of his.
Bad game according to him.
Well,
it's a bad game.
For someone who returned from injury, I think his owners would probably not complain anymore.
His owners enjoyed their Easter Sunday today.
Yep, and Davis Bertans returned. He started, surprisingly. I was thinking of picking him up yesterday, but I was worried that he might not start, or we will be on minutes restrictions.
Which he is. He played 20 minutes only today. Although it was a blowout also.
But I also regret not picking him up because I needed that. I think he had 3 3-pointers today.
Yes, 3 3-pointers,
so
11
in the
points.
league where I wanted to pick him up, I needed that 3-pointers. But hey, that's how it is. Is he now an ad, a sure ad? I mean, must.
Just remember, Rui was out. Rui was out today. He has a shoulder issue. Rui Hachimura. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure how serious the injury is. But without Rui, I think Bertans would be the third option. Well, actually, the second option because Bradley Beal is still out. Mm-hmm. But with Rui, I think Bertans will again come off the bench. That's my guess. So if he comes off the bench, I'm not really that much of a fan if he comes off the bench. But if Rui's injury ends up to be more serious and he's gonna miss a couple more games, then you can add. But right now, add for the meantime, and then let's see. If Rui plays the next game, then
speculatively add Bertans and maybe he gets hot. I mean, just like how Duncan Robinson has been hot over the past few weeks, maybe he gives you the same type of production as the season goes.
Speaking of Joel Embiid, tomorrow is a crucial point. Let's see if he's gonna play. Because if he doesn't play tomorrow, they haven't announced it yet. But if he doesn't play tomorrow, then we should expect, okay, we know that back-to-backs might not be possible for him yet. So you have to look at the next few weeks, how many back-to-backs Philadelphia has. So you have to plan and prepare accordingly. Assuming you could not trade Embiid anymore, he's going to stay with your team for the rest of the season. You have to circle those weeks with back-to-backs so that you can prepare and adjust.
Yeah, all right. Speaking of back-to-backs, this was not part of the original list, but I have to ask Commish Eric about this. Mike Conley is not going to play back-to-backs. In one of the forums, there was a question about Mike Conley and if he is someone that we're holding on to despite not playing back-to-backs. The question was even Mike Conley or Kyle Lowry, who should I, keep at least? And I told them it's probably Mike Conley because
Conley or Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, because Lowry's injured.
Okay.
And it seems like at least Mike Conley's healthy. The only problem he has is that he's, they're preserving him, I guess. So is Mike Conley something that, he won't be playing back-to-backs? Is he someone that worth holding on to, or is it someone that you should let go? I've seen Mike Conley being dropped in one of my leagues. It's a 14-team league.
Really?
Yeah, actually, that was surprising. He was dropped, and he was dropped by the number one team in that league. So I don't think it's a accidental drop.
So that's the reason why. So that's the reason why Mike Conley suddenly became a popular name that people were.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about Mike Conley because of that back-to-backs. I think he didn't play today.
But he hasn't played in back-to-backs for the whole season, right? As far as I know, he hasn't played back-to-backs for the whole season. If you check, he hasn't played back. Maybe they just announced that they would do this for the rest of the year, but he hasn't played back-to-back for I'm checking how many more back-to-backs they have, but he hasn't played back-to-backs the whole year. So what changed? And I in our group, someone messaged that they wanted to drop Conley for Bogdanovic.
Yep,
which is
that's another Mike Conley question.
Yes, that's my Mike Conley question. I'm looking at the back-to-backs. They have one more after this, and then no more. So they only have one more after this. So they have two more back-to-backs. I'll just, hold him. Yeah, hold on, because they only have two more back-to-backs after this.
And he is top 100. I think he's top 80 player.
Yes.
That's why it's quite surprising that people have been considering dropping Mike Conley. So I would suggest you hold on to Mike Conley, or maybe they were anticipating more rest.
No, the guy who asked was saying he wanted Bogdan, Atlanta Bogdan, not the Utah Bogdan. Atlanta Bogdan, because he needed the threes, and I think I forgot if it was steals or points. I said okay. I saw his lineup, and his lineup was stacked. It was a 12-team league. It was stacked. Conley he has Moses Brown and the others, but Kevin Porter, Conley, and Kemba would probably be the worst guards he has there. The others are really solid players. So it was legit question, because if I were in his place and I wanted to add Bogdan, those three would probably be my choice. And I don't know about you, but a lot of our readers or followers chose Kemba over Conley, and I tend to agree. I would drop Kemba instead of Conley if it were me.
All right. So that's interesting. Okay. But between Bogdan and Mike Conley, you'd go with Bogdan. Mike Conley?
I'm Conley. But the guy was saying that he is really not comfortable with the back-to-back thing. So I said, if that is the case, then yeah, go. I mean, I saw the lineup. It's pretty heavy with assists because he has Porter, he has Luka. So I said, yeah, I think it might not need Conley as much. So then, okay, then drop and go on and move on. But if in a vacuum, I would choose Conley over Bogdan.
Yeah,
I would choose Conley over Bogdan.
Well, at least the good thing is Bogdan is playing quite well.
Yes.
At least so far, if he maintains this, he'll probably be at the level of Mike Conley if he continues to play like this.
And Trey is still not sure. Sore knee and not yet. It's still questionable. So it probably wasn't just a resting.
Lots of players resting.
Yeah. Yes.
Surprisingly resting or are injured with minor injuries today. But let's talk about players who are not injured but are just bad. I mean,
maybe
not
teams.
The players really, but the teams that have been really bad, and over the past 2 days, there have been 50-point blowouts, 40-point blowouts, 30-point blowouts, and some of these teams are involved. We're talking about the tanking trio of Orlando, OKC, and Detroit. Another tanking team is Minnesota, but at least Minnesota's been battling and they've been fighting. I think they've been at least getting better throughout the season. But let's talk about Orlando, OKC, and Detroit. Who to own?
Let's start with Orlando.
Let's start with Orlando. If I look into Orlando's lineup, I don't even know who to pick up. I don't even trust players to pick up other than maybe Wendell Carter Jr. if he's there, but chances are he is not in your waiver wire. Even Okiki, I'm not confident that he'll be consistent enough. Today, I just picked up James Innes because I needed some rebounds and there's really not much players to pick up for tomorrow.
Innes is okay. So, for a stream.
So in Orlando, who are the must-own players for a 12 to 14 team? Let's talk about 12 to 14 team leagues.
In 12-team leagues in Orlando, maybe Wendell Carter Jr. That's it
Terrence
for me.
Ross?
Not even Terrence Ross for me. Terrence Ross right now is not playing well. Is always going to be questionable going forward. So it's gonna be a pain to own him right now in a stressful situation. So not even Terrence Ross. Maybe it's Wendell Carter Jr. and that's it. Now, with players in these teams, this G League kind of teams, there are two kinds. There are players who are really good, who have talent, so they would produce given the minutes, and there are players who only produce because they have the minutes.
Yeah.
by default. In Orlando, I can only say that Wendell Carter Jr. is the only one I can say that really is good enough to produce. So he's not just because of the minutes. The others, Okiki and I don't know,
Dwayne Bacon,
Bamba, Dwayne Bacon, James Innes. I think it's only because they have the opportunity. Yeah, I mean those guys are not 14. Okiki is a 14-team guy, but the others are not. Now, Gary Harris and Cole Anthony are nearing a return. They're nearing their returns. So now, if those players come back, that's something we have to monitor closely, because I think Cole Anthony can have 14-team value. I think Gary Harris can have 14-team value. So those two guys, let's wait for them to return. If they return, I think they can have some value. But outside of that, you have to be careful in adding players from like the Inneses or the Bacons or those players, because like today, how many points did they lose? 40 something?
They lost by
45, I think, or whatever. I mean, they lost really big.
46 points.
46. And they just coming out of a 40-something point loss also. So the game is basically over by the first quarter, and then the coach will do what? The coach will play everybody equal minutes in your fantasy.
Well, interestingly,
right?
I think Orlando didn't really have any players, so they only played eight people, and not even one person scored more than 20.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it. So Orlando, Wendell Carter Jr., and then the rest, could be a deep league type of players.
Okiki, 14 team. So Wendell Carter, Okiki, and then
the rest could be streamers, but watch out for Gary Harris and Cole Anthony. Of the
Yes.
two, though, who do you stash?
Cole. I stashed Cole Anthony.
All right.
Because, he's their first round pick. I mean, what else to do this season than develop your first round pick, right?
Yep. And Gary Harris is not really the healthiest player out there. He has always been out with injuries. All right, let's move on to the next of the tanking trio, the OKC Thunder. Who are today they lost by 48 points. My goodness.
It doesn't even look like an NBA. It doesn't look like NBA games anymore. OKC, okay. This team, through trial and error, found the magic formula. Now, not the magic formula to win, but the magic formula to lose, and which is to rely on those three players: Maledon, Pokusevski, and Moses Brown. These are three top players, and that is the reason why they're losing big, and they have good and bad games, because these three are so inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And now, Jeremy and I were just talking, and we said we want to warn our viewers that owning these players comes with its negative points. And the negative points are some could be a deal breaker for you. Like today, as I said, Poku and Maladon shot 4 out of 25 combined.
Yep.
So
just to split the stats, Maladon had 1 out of 12 and Pokusevski had 3 out of 13.
Yes. And Moses Brown actually was able to salvage a good game, 10 points, 14 rebounds, but that was just 6 points and 8 rebounds until the last few minutes. Mm-hmm. So let's go through it one by one. Maladon is still on hold for me. Yes, he has this 1 out of 12 games, but overall, I think the assists, the steals, some 3-pointers, those are good enough for me to keep him. Pokusevski maybe for 14 team leagues, but do not own these two together. Do not own more than one OKC player together, because days like this will really kill you. It will really kill you. So maybe choose one among the OKC players. If I'm gonna choose Maladon over Poku. But of course, I choose Moses Brown over both of them. But Moses Brown and Tony Bradley are becoming a timeshare. If you look at it, their minutes are becoming closer and closer together.
Well, so it's hard to judge today because it's a blowout. I mean,
yeah. But
they might have played Tony Bradley because it was pretty much done by halftime, right? So,
but Jeremy, every game will be a blowout.
Well, true.
Right.
Until maybe they come across Orlando or Detroit
exactly. So
or maybe a Washington in their lineup, in their schedule. But yeah, so Moses Brown is a must own. Pokusevski would
still a must hold.
Depend on the type of team that you're trying to build or the type of team you have. Maladon, I probably think it would be the same thing. Roby, deep leagues, maybe deep leagues, 16.
My advice to them is just choose one. Choose one of these players. Don't own more than one OKC player because, it could kill you. If there are a lot of games like this, it could really kill your fantasy team.
Yeah, actually, if seeing these, if there's someone, I'd rather stream the spot.
Yes.
Pokusevski is holding on or Maladon's holding on. I'm holding on to one Maladon because I only have him as my point guard for some reason. I don't have much point guard options there. But to be honest, I'd rather stream the spot than hold on to these players because they have been a pain to own. And just when you added them, that's when they play bad. So that's the lowdown on OKC. Let's move on to Detroit. There have been some questions about. Yeah, you were to add.
OKC, just look at the matchups. If the matchup is Utah, Phoenix, or the top teams, then don't play Pokusevski. It's if you look at the box scores and look at the schedule and the game results, Pokusevski plays really, really, really bad against good defensive teams. So he's a matchup-based guy. Going to what Jeremy said, maybe you add him and then he doesn't do well, then you drop him and he plays well because he's a matchup-based guy. It's a matchup-based guy.
All right.
And Detroit, yeah.
Let's move on to Detroit. Detroit lost.
How many?
Trying to do the math here. I think this is 44 points.
Okay.
So right, 25 plus 19, that's 44.
44. Yeah. So are they the winner today? They lost the least, I think, right? You said 46 and 48. Now they lost by 44. Yep. So congratulations to the Pistons for being the best team.
But they didn't produce the best fantasy player, I guess, because among those teams, I would say Wendell Carter produced the best numbers. So who to own? Well, I mean, even their best player, Jeremy Grant, has been bad, like we mentioned for the past few weeks already. He has been trending down. He hasn't been playing well.
And Detroit is really bad right now. They played 14 players today. Almost everyone got more than 10 minutes. Almost every one of those 14 players. Okay, let's start with the point guard. They have Killian Hayes back, which they want to develop. They have Dennis Smith Jr. back, which they want to rehabilitate. They have Saban Lee, another first-round pick. They have Corey Joseph, which is the coach's favorite. Who do you choose? Who will stay on in that quattro quattro point guard rotation.
No
I don't
one.
know. And
you choose no one, guys.
yes, I choose no one. I just really choose no one. And then the wings, they have Wayne Ellington, they have Frank Jackson, they have Rodney McGruder, they have this who else? Hamido Diallo. So then they have Jeremy Grant. So it's just too messy at this point. Of course, you hold on to Jeremy Grant. Of course, you hold on to Mason Plumlee. That's a given. But
Sadiq
among
Bey?
the young, Sadiq Bey is number 3 and Hamido Diallo is number 4. I've been getting a lot of Sadiq Bey questions. As in, Bey, drop Bey.
Yep.
Right now, I'm okay. I'm okay with dropping Bey. But remember, Pistons have 5 games next week. So before you drop Sadiq Bey, maybe
Will
give
that
him one
even
more
matter? Will that even matter? 5 games?
If Bey plays 5 games, that matters. Because Bey playing 5 games, if he gives you 2.5 3-pointers, that's what? 13, 14 3-pointers? That matters for Sadiq Bey. Now, Hamido Diallo won't play all 5 games. We know that. So maybe not for him. But for Sadiq Bey, it will matter. Jeremy Grant will not play 5 games. But for those who will play 5 games, and for me right now, the only one player I can think of that will definitely play 5 games should be Sadiq Bey. So, out of the whole Pistons team that you say, hey, 5 games, who do I pick among these Pistons players that will play the 5 games? I think it's only Sadiq Bey who will play all 5 games.
So Jeremy Grant, hold on to him.
Do you think he's gonna play 5 games?
No, I don't think he's gonna play 5 games.
Exactly.
But you still hold on to him.
You hold on to him.
He's still their best player right now. I think.
I'm seeing the regret in the face of Jeremy because I think he wanted to trade Jeremy Grant. I remember it.
Yes. I wanted to trade, and then I just gave up in that league because something happened there. But
I see the frustration.
Jeremy Grant still a hold because he's their best player based on Plumlee. Probably still a hold. Isaiah Stewart. Let's talk about Isaiah Stewart. I've seen a lot of drops for Isaiah Stewart. Questions as well on Isaiah Stewart. He hasn't been playing really well.
I'm okay to drop Stewart and then maybe just use him as a streamer, a plug and play for some of his games because we've been waiting for them to shut down Plumlee. I don't think they would. They'll just play this rest him some games and
just play him 20 minutes.
Yeah. So it's not probably gonna be enough for Stewart to be consistent.
Who would you rather have, Isaiah Stewart or Nicholas Claxton?
I'd rather have Claxton at this point, given that we saw the rotation of the Nets. If that is what the rotation will be, that Claxton will play and DeAndre Jordan won't play, then I'd like Claxton. I'd like Claxton more than Stewart at this point. Because Claxton is more of a per minute guy. It's a better per minute player than Isaiah Stewart. So Claxton over Stewart.
Alright, so those are the tanking trios. Hopefully that helped you decide which players to hold and which players to drop, or maybe just stream them instead of holding them for too long. Again, holding them for too long might cost you free agents who are hotter, and that might cost you the season as well. Alright, let's move on to our regular Big Risers, waivers, and worrying players. Big Risers, Jrue Holiday played well without Giannis today. The old Jrue did everything pretty much.
But even without Giannis, the past 4 games, Jeremy, he's 26 points, 7 assists, 3 3-pointers, 2 steals a game, and even a block almost. So he's nearing the first round value again, which I did not think he would reach this year. After the COVID thing, after the slow start, I did not think he will reach it, but he's reaching it. So, well, for the believers, then good job for they're being rewarded right now.
Jrue Holiday played well. Karl Anthony-Towns also played well against Joel Embiid. He was my pick in the top pick in the DFS. The lineup that I chose. Now there has been concerns about Karl Anthony-Towns shutdown. I think right now with the trade deadline passing, I don't think there's really much to do but to ride the good games. He's been really good for the past couple of weeks.
We haven't talked about him for a long time.
Yep.
Karl Anthony-Towns. And he's, after the All-Star break, 27 points, 11 rebounds, 4.7 assists, 2.5 3-pointers, good field goal, free throw. I mean, he's basically one of the best fantasy players since the All-Star break.
Yep.
And just because, everybody's like trying to be smarter, trying to be smart and, be ahead, like he's going to be shut down,
in fairness, we also said that, he might be shut down
That's true.
later on.
And what I'm saying is maybe it's time to look the other way.
Maybe. We should accept the fact that, trade deadline has passed. If you traded him, most likely you got someone who is at his level, at the first round level or second round level. So that wouldn't really hurt much, right? You don't trade him for a player below what his potential is. So you got something in return, and that something in return might not rest. Again, when it comes to the finals, as we've seen with players now, that there are a lot of players being rested. So he might be one of them, but he might not be one of them. So we'll see.
There are still teams who can trade. April 9 is the absolute last day for trade deadline. So there are still teams who could do trades. And we will keep on talking about Embiid. Yeah, maybe try Embiid for Karl Anthony-Towns. I mean, for me.
Yeah, with a shot. Again, at this point, probably we don't know who will rest or who will not rest. But I have a couple of, I think 3 teams or 4 teams with Karl Anthony-Towns. I'm probably going to be holding them now.
Since
most
of
those teams are past trade deadlines. So I'll just ride it out. TJ McConnell. I watched the game against the Spurs today, and this guy didn't even rest, I think, the whole second half. I think he played the whole time, and he was good. He was really good. He seemed unguardable. No one really know what he would do. He was passing the ball, and then
they did miss Brogdon today, though. Brogdon and Sabonis did not play today, so maybe that helped him a little bit.
Yep, definitely. Right. He was controlling everything. Everything goes through him actually today.
But he was dropped. I don't know if he was dropped in your leagues, but in my leagues,
I got one McConnell in one league.
And I added him because the assist will be there with or without Brogdon. I think he had some down games, bad games, but you just try those things out. I mean, you know that eventually he's still going to give you the 6-7 assists, the 1 to 2 steals, and good efficiency. So I think he should be added back.
How about this? Keldon Johnson played well again today. After
what do you think?
We talked about him, I still don't like the inconsistency. I mean, I dropped him in a couple of leagues and streamed the slot. Just stream the slot, and I probably would not regret dropping him. He had one good game. I mean, you had one good game, so
me too. I would not be sweating dropping him, like seeing 20 points, 10 rebounds. I think, do this 3 or 4 more times and I will regret it, but I doubt it.
He didn't even finish the game. It was a close game. He didn't even finish the game. It was Rudy Gay who finished the game. So I think, maybe this is just a matchup problem. But watch out for him. If you haven't dropped him yet, maybe it's worth holding on to him for a few more games to see what goes on there. But if you have dropped him, well, you can move on. If you can add him once again, maybe you can try. But Keldon Johnson played well today. Waiver wire specials, very important these days. Reggie Bullock is another player who has been consistent when he has been playing.
And he has 35 3-pointers the past 10 games. 35.
He has been a 3 and D guy. 3 and steals guy.
35 3-pointers. I mean, if you need threes, that's the guy you get. Reggie Bullock.
And definitely. So, is he a guy you hold on to now?
As long as he's this hot. I mean, if he's gonna give me 4 3-pointers a game, well, sure. I mean, he's gonna win me the 3-point category by himself.
I think he is like a player he is a player like maybe Patty Mills, who gives you threes and a few assists.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people hold on to Patty Mills, so I don't see any reason why you shouldn't hold on to Reggie Bullock.
Yes.
Speaking of Mills and the Spurs, Rudy Gay is another old reliable who has been playing well. I think, for me personally, I think Rudy Gay is very underrated in fantasy. He can give you any stat you need, right? From good field goals, scoring, rebounding, assists, some assists, and the defensive stats. And he is not a high turnover rate kind of guy because of his role.
Yes. It's with Gay though. People add him. Yes, this stretches of good game, but one bad game for Rudy Gay will make people drop him right away. So you just have to again be patient with the bad games. But Jeremy is correct. Rudy Gay has been underratedly good this season.
Yeah, I mean, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
And most of the time he has been good, at least so far this season, except for the times wherein he didn't play because of injury. But most of the time, for an old guy who has been this guy is probably older than Al Horford or some of the guys that have been rested throughout the season.
Yeah, I think so. He's older.
Right? So he is still playing, and he is still playing at a very
I remember watching him in
productive.
the Final Four of the NCAA. So I mean, how long ago was that?
And people don't know, he was in Sacramento, right? Early in his career.
Yeah.
And that's a long time ago. That's a very long time ago. Other players in the waiver, Jordan McLaughlin, without Rubio and without D'Angelo Russell, he is the starting point guard. Very low upside though.
But if the two of those players still don't come back the next few games, you can play him the first few games of the week next week. Maybe it's your fantasy playoffs. Can help you a lot with assists and steals. He had 9 assists and 3 steals today. So 2 or 3 of those games, that's a big help to you for your playoffs. If you have your playoffs next week.
Yep, yeah. Jordan McLaughlin, another player to consider. Terrence Davis had 7 threes today. Another player to add.
I just think that Sacramento has a big chance for him, a big role for him, being like the 6th man, the scorer of the bench. It's up to him if he can take advantage of that or not. I'm not sure, but if you're in a very deep league, yes, you should pick him up and see if he can pounce on this chance. He was crying after the game, saying he was so happy in Sacramento because they have a role for, exactly what I'm saying. They have a role for him, and
he played a great game. He finished the game. It was a close game, and he was part of it. So he hit the last shot as well, but that didn't matter. But yeah, he has been someone to monitor. Maybe for now, at least in deep leagues, you can speculatively add him. Nemanja Bjelica.
Just a monitor.
I think the pronunciation is Bjelica. That's how I hear announcers calling him. But yep, he has been playing well.
Just a monitor. A guy to watch out because he's getting more
minutes. Yes.
Yeah. So if he continues to get 25 minutes, then he can produce low-end numbers.
He is getting minutes. All right, those are our waiver wire specials. Let's talk about some worrying players now. Bradley Beal missed.
And Paul George.
I think this is the 4th, if not the 4th, the 3rd game.
Fourth game. And it doesn't seem like he's nearing a return. So
is the injury serious?
Apparently, he used the one when I talked to you
hip,
about
right? It's a hip injury. Yeah.
I think the problem is it's not just that injury. He has several other injuries that he's trying to play through, and they were winning, so they were like, okay, let's play because we have a chance for the play-in. And then when they started to lose, it's like, you know what happens when you start to lose, everything changes. Like, hey, I mean, why would I play through this if we're not going to make a play-in tournament anyway?
Yep.
So owners will have to, you can't drop Beal. So
you'll probably just the expectation, lower your expectations on Beal.
Yeah.
Right. And another guy who we talked about, someone we should be worrying about is Paul George.
Yeah, we talked about yesterday, Paul George. I had additional information about this injury. And basically what the doctor said is that there's no cure except if you're going to rest for 2 months. So they're not going to do it. They're just going to play through it, which is
this type
sort of a
injury. Well, is this injury something that can still be aggravated if he plays through it?
It's swelling. So if the swelling subsides a little, then he can play. But if it swells again, then he should rest. It's just rest, play, something like that. And just managing it with therapy, with ice and everything. The thing is, he's gonna play, but he's not gonna play good.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be the problem. He might not be as good as he used to be, or he can still score. At least
assist.
The good thing about Paul George is that he can do a lot of things inside the court. So even if he's not, the challenge with playing through a nagging injury is that most likely the percentages would drop. There would be more turnovers. But the other things, he can still pass. He can still probably rebound the ball.
Yeah.
He's still a good enough scorer to give you maybe 15, 16, 17 points a game.
Yes.
Still going to be a serviceable player, but you expect some missed games here and there, especially as they head into the playoffs, because he'll probably be rested if they have secured that playoff spot. And we wouldn't be surprised if that happens. All right, the last player on our worrying list is Victor Oladipo. Hasn't been playing well in Miami.
Yeah, but he's coming off very bad colds and cough and illness that's going around the NBA. So maybe give him a little more time, but he's not gonna be Houston Oladipo or Indiana Oladipo anymore.
Yep.
Miami's too deep, and the system is different. It's like teamwork kind, not what he's used to.
Yeah, but he is still a player worth holding on to.
Yes, he is a player worth holding on to. As I said, give him a little more time. It's gonna improve. He's not gonna score 8 points, 5 assists a game every game. It'll be better, but it's not gonna be the 25.8 assists kind of stats he's doing in Houston. It's not gonna happen, which we predicted after the trade happened. Right? So we said it's gonna hurt him.
So hopefully he gives you around 15 points per game and maybe 6 or 7 assists. That would be good enough, I guess. And from occasional 20 point games when Butler decides to rest a bit, which happens and has happened over the past few weeks, wherein Butler gets some minor injuries and gets rested for back-to-back. So that might be the chance Victor Oladipo.
Agree.
That's where Victor Oladipo gets his chance to show what he's got. All right. Yep, that's it. That's the Easter version of our Daily Quickie. Nothing really new, but hopefully still helpful for you guys. There have been some questions about Hayward. We already addressed that, and some other players from the tanking trio. We talked about that, so really good conversation and discussion here. All right, guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe so that you'll get updates. Or if you don't have time to watch the whole quickie, we post bits, clips after a day or two of what we talked about, but not everything. But yeah, those clips might be helpful as well if you don't really have that long of a time to watch or to watch the whole quickie. 30 minutes of time to watch. All right. Yep. Anything else, Com?
No, that's it.
All right. Okay. Last day, Judgment Day tomorrow. Good luck, guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another Daily Fantasy Quickie. Bye.